In a world dominated by the brilliantly colored upper class, the colorless are relegated to the bottom of society, suffering from prejudice and unfair treatment in black. That was the color of monsters hated and feared by everyone. But that all changed when one young man accidentally became the only one to awaken it. Not only did he possess a body as hard as steel, one that could shatter the fangs of any monster that bit it, but he also awakened an essence-draining art that could absorb the colors of others. This hard counter skill turned all members of the upper class into his prey. As someone who was originally colorless, the young man named K had to struggle to make a living from a young age. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. All he wanted was to live a peaceful life. But there were those who wanted to steal his precious companion and even get rid of him simply because he was colorless. No one would care if a nobody like him went missing. But little did they know they were shooting themselves in the foot, accidentally awakening a monster capable of destroying the entire world. Deep within a dark cave, Kay carefully watched the drops of liquid dripping from the rock face. He cried out in excitement. I found ink. After carefully filling a bottle with the blue solution, Kay turned to the black cat on his shoulder. Thanks, Nero. I couldn't have found this without you. As he stepped out into the light, he thought to himself, if I bring this to them, the exploration team will have to accept me this time. Looking out at the dazzling city in the distance, Kay was filled with hope. In the city center, the sound of lively chatter filled the air. People gathered in groups, buzzing with excitement. Let's give a big welcome to our color mixers. The crowd showered the heroes with praise. Look at those vibrant colors. They're so cool, aren't they? Another person added enthusiastically. You bet they are. I heard they took down a giant monster this time. They truly are worthy of their title. Everyone believed that as long as the color mixers were around, the City of Light would always be safe. However, in the Shadow District, reality was far harsher. Suddenly, Kay was kicked to the ground. He was thrown out of the recruitment office as a voice bellowed, "Get lost!" The menacing guard roared, "How many times do I have to tell you this is no place for your kind? All that effort to find the ink only to be treated like this." Frustrated, Kay held up the bottle of ink he'd found and shouted, "Why? I brought the ink you wanted. What's the problem? I've already proven my skills, haven't I?" The other man looked impatient. "GH, you're so annoying. Do I have to spell out for you?" He stared directly at Kay and snarled, "It's because you're one of the colorless." Kay stood frozen, stung by the insult. People are born into their roles, but every once in a while, some piece of trash like you shows up, not knowing their damn place. The guard snarled, "Listen here, you worthless, colorless bastard." Instantly, a blast of crimson pressure sent Kay flying, causing him to cry out in pain. The people standing in the office doorway looked down on him with contempt, stressing that the title of explorer is only for the chosen like us. They declared that a weakling like him would never survive in the Blacklands out there. Out there, darkness is so absolute, you can't see a single inch in front of your face. In that eternal night, dangerous monsters are always lurking everywhere. The exploration team prides itself on risking their lives to find resources and treasures, sacrificing themselves for the future of humanity so they can be hailed as heroes. One of the guards turned to leave. He didn't forget to leave a parting insult. That's why colorless trash like you could never handle it. Go find a job that's suited for a colorless. He yelled, "Don't ever show your face around us again. Bother us one more time and you're dead." Kay was insulted and cursed until the heavy wooden door slammed shut, leaving him all alone. Kay stood there stunned by their coldness. When he saw Nero poke his head out from his jacket, worried, Kay forced a smile to reassure him. "It's okay, Nero. There are lots of other places we could try. I'm used to this." Suddenly, his eyes blazed with determination. He told himself, "I'm going to become the greatest color mixer there is. I made a promise after all." Kay quickly urged Nero to hide back inside his jacket so no one would see him. He walked through the streets, telling himself he would try his luck somewhere else. "I'm not giving up. I have to persevere until the end." From high above, a mysterious man with blue hair was silently observing him. Kay, completely unaware he was being watched, stopped in the middle of the bustling crowd. He pulled out his notebook to check the next locations on his journey, then crossed off the last names on the list. He sighed in disappointment. This place was a bust, and this one too. Is today just going to be one dead end after another? After being rejected by every place he went to, he had no other choice but to dejectedly head back to Mary's mechanical workshop. As he stepped through the door, Kay called out wearily, "Mary, I'm back." Mary, who was busy working, greeted him with a bright smile. "Kai, hurry up and get inside. What's with that face? Did it not go well again?" Kai could only nod in admission. "Yeah, something like that." At the same time, Nero the cat peeked out from his jacket, causing Mary to exclaim, "Oh, Nero's here too." Mary became furious on her friend's behalf. Those people are all blind. You're stronger than any of those average explorers, Kay replied sadly. They don't accept colorless people. There's nothing I can do. Mary was still unconvinced. She insisted, you're more than capable. You even found something from the Blacklands. But Kay humbly replied, I only managed to do that because Nero helped me. Exhausted after a day of failures, he hesitantly took out the bottle of blue ink and handed it to her. Here, you can have this. Mary cheered with delight. Thanks. I'll pay you a handsome price for it. As she poured the ink into a machine, she complained, the current ink shortage is a disaster, and the prices just keep climbing. Mary emphasized that everyone's entire livelihood depends on ink. Then she suddenly remembered something. She asked Kay, seriously, have you thought about what I told you the other day? When she saw Kay, still hesitating out of fear, she slammed a flyer down on the table and shouted, this is a great opportunity. It was a recruitment notice for an S-rank exploration team. Kay stared at the paper. Stunned. An S-rank exploration team. I always assumed I'd be rejected, so I never dared to apply. Doubts flooded Kay's mind. Was he really strong enough to survive there? But Mary cut through his thoughts with sincere encouragement. Kay, this is a great opportunity. Just give it a shot. I heard they value skill. Who knows? They might just recognize your talent. She looked him straight in the eye and reminded him of his burning dream. You've wanted to become a color mixer ever since you were a kid. A memory of his childhood, standing in the rain, flashed in his mind. Mary stated firmly, we'll always support you no matter what you do. Her words made Kay's eyes shine with determination once more. He had been discouraged because no one seemed to value him. But now, hearing his friend's encouraging words, Kay smiled with determination. This was no time to be picky. He gripped the application for the Dawnraker squad tightly. He waved goodbye to Mary. Thanks, Mary. I'll drop by later. Mary smiled and waved back. Okay, be careful. Walking through a deserted alley, Kay told himself he had to hurry and prepare since the application deadline was approaching. Suddenly, his cat Nero let out a weary growl, leaving Kay confused. Huh? Nero, what's wrong? Before he could understand what was happening, a stranger with green hair and cold, sharp eyes appeared. In his hand was a short sword emitting a strange blue light. He swung the sword, creating a powerful slash of wind aimed straight at Kay. Kay's eyes widened in terror. The direct hit sent him flying, and he cried out in pain. Kay lay collapsed on the ground, not understanding what was happening. As the assassin approached him, sneering, Oh, a colorless thing managed to survive that thing, his accomplice added coldly. He'll be dead soon enough. No one will even notice if a colorless is seeing Nero worrying beside him. Kay used his remaining strength to whisper, Run. They dragged him to a secluded area filled with large pipes where a sign warned, Ink Waste Disposal Area. Kay slowly regained consciousness with a groan. Ugh. The green-haired man laughed maliciously. Oh, you're awake. Unlucky for you. It's time to be thrown down there. Since you're still alive, that is. He dragged Kay to the edge of a pit filled with ink waste. A lethal solution formed when all colors of ink mixed together. He explained that this stuff was extremely dangerous. Anyone who falls in will dissolve without a trace. There's no better place to dispose of body. In agony, Kay struggled to speak. Who? Who are you? Knocked unconscious, dragged here to have his body disposed of. Kay roared in outrage. Why are you attacking me? The green-haired leader gave a sinister smile and replied, You know, we were pretty surprised ourselves today. I never expected to find a treasure in the Shadow Street. An intelligent monster that follows a human. It's an extremely rare creature. Desperate Kay called out his little friend's name. Nero. He saw Nero sobbing behind the bars of cage. Using all his strength, he punched the villain's hand. Give him back, you bastard. But it barely had any effect. The man spoke to Kay with a mocking tone. Ooh, I'm so scared. A colorless like you can't do a thing no matter how hard you try. He not only insulted Kay, but also eyed Nero greedily. This thing will fetch a high price on the black market. It's a shame for something so valuable to be kept by a colorless like you. Choked to the point he could barely breathe, Kay bitterly blamed himself. Damn it, I was too careless. I shouldn't have let my guard down in the Shadow Street. He resentfully realized that he had always been discriminated against and despised, but he couldn't accept them taking Nero, his only family. His anger exploded. Kay stared furiously. You bastards. The moment Kay touched his opponent's hand, a strange black aura suddenly appeared. The green-haired man's face changed in terror. What is this? Something's pulling me in. Kay's entire body was covered in a terrifying black shroud, making the man scream in disgust. How gross. He quickly shoved him hard, causing Kay to fall straight into the pit of ink waste. Then he coldly brushed off his hands. Well, that's that job done. Ignoring Nero and LT, Unk and GT, as heart-wrenching cries, they laughed triumphantly. Now we're going to be rich. Let's hurry to the black market. They turned and left with Nero without a second thought. In the deep darkness of the waste pit, Kay felt himself sinking. His only thought now was that he had to save Nero, but his body was completely paralyzed. He couldn't move it as he wished. He wondered, is this really how it's all going to end? This ridiculously on the brink of life and death. Images of Mary and his memories with Nero flashed before his eyes. No, I still have that promise from back then. In the dark space, a mysterious voice echoed in Kay's mind. Kay, why are you just standing there? What the hell are you doing? Confused, he wondered. Who's there? The voice continued to urge him on. Get up. Do what you can do. Are you really going to end it like this? Don't hesitate. Save Nero now. In his subconscious, Kay saw a silhouette inviting him to accept his true power. His eyes suddenly blazed as the voice roared. Take back your color. An explosion of pitch-black energy erupted. A hand reached up forcefully from the bottom of the deep pit. Kay found himself standing in a strange, completely white space. He was stunned, wondering what just happened. I was in the ink. Looking at his own blackened hands, he tried to search his memory. After that, I can't remember. More importantly, who am I? He was adrift in his thoughts, struggling. Who am I? What do I exist for? Suddenly, Nero and LT, Unk and GT's familiar mew echoed, snapping Kay back to reality. He saw the two bastards in the distance carrying Nero and LT, Unk and GT's cage. He realized what his only goal was at this moment. Nero, you're there. That's right. I have to save Nero. Instantly, a pitch-black hand from the tree reached out as a giant column of ink erupted from the pit like a tornado, forcing the two terrified assassins to stumble back. What is this? What the hell is going on? They couldn't believe their eyes as all the ink in the pit vanished in an instant. From within the black smoke, a terrifying figure emerged, causing them to tremble in fear. Then something unidentifiable lunged out. The blue-haired man's eyes widened in terror, cold sweat pouring down his face. No, it can't be. Could it be a giant hand made of shadow shot toward them with terrifying speed? Until the very end. They never understood what hit them. But I suppose what goes around comes around, folks. The scene was a wasteland of ruined buildings thick with smoke and dust. A panicked witness screamed at a police officer. I saw it clearly. A hand this big suddenly appeared and turned the whole area into a battlefield. The police officer, taking notes, replied skeptically, Yes, I'm sure it did, sir. Meanwhile, medical personnel were carrying a gray, lifeless body on a stretcher. Watching nearby, Captain Red spoke up. Lucky there were only 2 victims. Huh? The purple-haired girl with him, Eli added. Yes, both were B-rank Pathfinders. Their reputation wasn't the best. She looked at the colorless corpse, puzzled. I don't understand what could have happened to make them lose all their color. Captain Red mused. That's important, but let's set it aside for now. We're here because of the large monster that appeared in the city. Upon recognizing their identities, the police officer gasped. You're a colorist. For him, it was like meeting his idol. He immediately bowed respectfully. It's a true honor to meet you, sir. I'm the officer in charge of this scene. Why would people as busy as you own? Captain Red replied calmly. Relax. We just received a request to investigate the monster. I'd like to see the scene. Can you lead the way? The officer hurriedly invited them to follow him deeper into the ruined area. Ah, yes. Yes, this way, sir. Standing before the ruins, Captain Red observed, there really are traces of a monster here. Eli also seemed confused. We've tracked the locations of all the large monsters reported recently, but for one to suddenly appear inside the city, even in the suburbs, is just strange. She added that the creatures typically found in the city, like rats and birds, are just small species harmless to people. She worried if a new variant has appeared, but Captain Red cut her off. Don't jump to conclusions. Instead, let's figure out how to track this thing. The 2 figures stood dwarfed by the heavily damaged area where pipes and shattered concrete stretched as far as the eye could see. They couldn't imagine how large a monster would have to be to cause such widespread devastation. Amidst the rubble, Nero and LT, Unk and GT's cry broke the silence. Kay slowly regained consciousness. Whispering in disbelief, he saw his little companion licking his face. Kay quickly sat up and hugged him tightly, asking worriedly, Nero, are you okay? Seeing that Nero was unharmed, Kay sighed in relief. What a relief. But then confusion about what just happened started to set in. What happened? The memory of the confrontation with the assassins came flooding back. He seethed. It was definitely those bastards. Looking at the devastated scene, Kay wondered if they had been engulfed in the ink. Suddenly, he looked down at his hands as a horrifying thought surfaced. Don't tell me it was me. As he was hazily wondering whether it was a dream or reality, he was startled to realize his body had its color back. Color? How is this possible? Not only that, the surroundings sent an even greater chill down his spine. Why is it so dark here? I can't see anything at all. In the oppressive darkness, his only option was to call for his one friend. Nero, help me. Instantly, Nero started spinning and gave off a strange glow. Nero and LT, Unk and GT's whole body glowed brilliantly like a lamp, illuminating the dark space around them. A horrifying scene appeared before K's eyes, countless monsters lurking among the bizarre trees. He realized with a shock where he was. This place, is this the Black Zone? In the distance, the faint lights of the city twinkled while he stood in the middle of a black forest, a place that only pathfinders of B rank or higher dared to enter. Who brought him here? How is he even surviving in this place? As he scanned his surroundings, his thoughts racing, he suddenly shouted, Nero, we have to go. Find a way out. A horde of monsters had already swarmed in to surround them. In the dark, Nero pulsed with light, a constant warning. The light helped K narrowly dodge one lethal attack after another. He panted, thanks Nero, but the darkness around them remained dense, filled with innumerable lurking eyes. Nero became a brilliant streak of light, guiding K up the steep cliffs. As he ran, K was amazed, wondering about the strange sensation he was feeling. What is this? What is this feeling? He noticed his body felt strangely light. Even though he'd been running nonstop, K was still full of energy and didn't feel tired at all. His speed and agility had reached a whole new level. K could clearly feel the power surging through his body as he made incredible leaps across the chasm. Suddenly, a giant monster appeared right in front of his face, causing him to freeze. Panicked, K realized he had no way to escape. Damn it, I'm going to die. He squeezed his eyes shut, resigning himself to his fate before death's bite. But he had forgotten that he had leveled up immensely. The monster wanted to take a chunk out of him, but ended up chomping on his incredibly hard arm. And just like that, its entire set of teeth was gone. I am okay. I thought I was seriously hurt. K stared intently at his hands and feet and thought in amazement. So this is the power of color. Before he could even celebrate and feel the power in his body, Nero immediately cried out a warning. K looked up and was stunned by a giant figure looming over him. Approaching him was a one-eyed monster with long, menacing horns. K exclaimed in horror, a cyclops? He couldn't help but wonder why a predator that usually appears deep in the dark forest was here. The monster let out a fierce roar, then slammed its hand, shattering the ground and creating a terrifying shockwave. Nero cried out worriedly upon seeing K thrown into the rubble. K struggled to get back up, but instead of running away, a new feeling rose within him, making him confident for some reason. I feel like I can beat it. Remembering the years of being scorned for being colorless, K's gaze suddenly turned sharp. He affirmed that he now had the color he had always longed for. So things will definitely be different from before. I don't have to run anymore. As courage surged within him, K clenched his fists with determination. He concentrated hard to reawaken that mysterious flow of power. Remember that feeling? That feeling? Instantly, a jet black energy erupted, enveloping his entire body as his eyes blazed with white light. The Cyclops roared, reaching its giant hand down to crush him. He wouldn't be passive in this fight anymore. K stomped his foot, launching himself into the air with incredible speed. He poured all his strength into his fist, landing a direct blow on the monster. An earth-shattering explosion of energy erupted, sending the Cyclops' massive body flying and shaking the entire forest region. Amidst the hazy black smoke, K's eyes glowed with power. He was stunned to find himself standing before a lush, vibrant green valley. K couldn't hide his amazement. He gazed at the brilliant natural scenery with a small stream flowing through the trees. He wondered shyly color. As he was enjoying the wonderful scenery, the black aura around him suddenly became chaotic, startling a pillar of pure white light descended from above into the deep forest. Nero flew around worriedly, seeing K. Gar collapsed in the rubble. Looking at his gradually paling hands, K panicked. My color. He painfully realized a harsh truth. The more power he used, the more of his color he lost. K gritted his teeth, enduring his body's torment. No, at this rate, at the fragile boundary between life and death, a mysterious voice echoed in his mind again. What are you doing? Your food is right in front of you. Hurry up and eat. The voice gestured toward the monster's corpse and continued its temptation. The color is right before your eyes. You don't want to die, do you? It's very simple. Just reach out your hand. Although he was gasping from exhaustion, K was swayed by the urging words, not knowing if it was right or wrong. But unable to resist the temptation of the voice whispering in his ear, K tremblingly placed his hand on the giant Cyclops' corpse. Instantly, a jet black energy erupted. It madly devoured the color from the corpse. Witnessing this horrifying scene, Nero could only stand there stunned in amazement. A massive explosion of darkness spread throughout the forest, draining the enemy's life force to replenish K. After the absorption was complete, K was panting, but he had regained some of his vitality. He let out a sigh of relief. Phew, I'm alive now. At the workshop, Mary was engrossed in her work when the doorbell rang. She looked up with a bright smile to greet them. Ah, welcome. What can I do for you today? Do you have a special request? However, her words were met with only a mysterious silence from a figure completely covered in a black cloak who was slowly stepping inside. A robbery in broad daylight. Noticing the visitor's strange behavior, Mary started to feel uneasy. She asked cautiously, Sir, don't you think you look very suspicious? Seeing the person continue to approach, Mary panicked, grabbed a large wrench, and shouted a warning. Stop. Stop right there. If you take one more step, I'll hit you. As the dark figure suddenly closed in, Mary could only squeeze her eyes shut and scream, Ah! But the strangers stopped abruptly and slowly pulled down their hood, revealing a gentle, smiling face. Calm down, Mary. It's me. Realizing his joke had gone too far and terrified his best friend, Kay scratched his head apologetically. Sorry for making you almost not recognize me. Huh. Mary froze in astonishment. She stammered. Kay, what happened to your appearance? After hearing Kay recount the whole story, Mary was so angry her whole body trembled. I'm so furious. I can't forgive those bastards. She swung the weapon in her hand furiously. They deserve to have their heads smashed in with this hammer. Seeing his friend so worked up, Kay quickly tried to calm her down. It's okay, Mary. I already got my revenge. Only then did Mary manage to calm down. She sighed, looking at the wrench in her hand. You're right. I guess I got a little carried away, huh? She looked at Kay with a concerned gaze. I was worried since I couldn't get in touch with you. I can't believe something like this happened. Anyway, I'm just glad you're safe, Kay replied with a faint smile. Yeah, sorry for making you worry. However, she was worried about Kay, who had survived falling into the ink waste zone. And to think you even gained a color, it's unbelievable. But that black, it's the color of a monster. People are going to look at you with prejudice. Despite Mary's worries, Kay remained resolute. He stated firmly, that's in the past. What's important is that I have a chance to become a color mixer. Kay decided to put everything else aside to focus all his energy on the Dawn Vanguard's entrance exam. He sincerely thanked Mary for helping me get back on time. He then asked, could I borrow some clothes or a spare set? I promise I'll return them later. Although she sighed that this wasn't the first time, Mary still smiled and agreed. But let's just call it an investment in a future color mixer. She excitedly grabbed his hand and pulled him along. Follow me. I happen to have something that'll suit you perfectly. What a thoughtful friend. It seems she had already prepared this for him in advance. Don't you think so? Mary assured him the new outfit would be a perfect fit. Dressed in his new clothes, Kay and Nero headed straight for the exam location, a massive arena. Thousands of people were crowding into the place, the air thick with tension. The surrounding candidates couldn't hide their anxiety. Whoa, this is so tense. Why are there so many people? Another person reassured themselves. Don't panic. Just stay calm. With competition this fierce, who wouldn't be nervous? They all shared the dream of joining the Dawn Vanguard, an S-rank team with the most impressive record of exploring the Black Lands. Everyone here hoped for a chance to shine and showcase their talent. Known as the Hope of the City of Light, this team brings together the most gifted color mixers. However, Kay's biggest challenge was the lineup of extremely strong candidates gathered here. But the one who captured everyone's attention was Jill. He was considered a shoo-in to pass. Thanks to his terrifying strength, he could single-handedly take down entire hordes of crazed monsters. But Gil was also known for his brutal personality, having been kicked out of his previous team for causing too much trouble. He didn't hesitate to use force to intimidate other candidates right on the spot, making them fearful and lose their focus and will to compete. It was a powerful psychological blow. Amidst the crowd buzzing about the arrival of this dangerous individual, a few candidates tried to act confident to hide their fear. Why be scared? With a little practice, you can beat guys like that. They're all nothing special. A friend with them could only give a re-smile and reply, what nonsense are you talking about? Standing in the crowd, Jill heard some challenging and contemptuous whispers and thought to himself, a bunch of ridiculous kids. He felt disappointed, thinking there was no one truly outstanding in the entrance exam for such a prestigious S-rank team. However, his gaze suddenly landed on a girl with long, vibrant blue hair, standing silently. Gil immediately identified his target. So, it's probably that girl. Ellison, the second daughter of the Shaw family, isn't it? He smirked calculatingly upon finding a worthy opponent. Just as the rumor said, she's quite impressive, so it's easy to notice her. While Gil was still curious about the reactions of others, a sudden announcement blared from the speakers throughout the arena. Ahem to all candidates for the Dawn Vanguard entrance exam. It will begin now. The crowd erupted with excitement as a real color mixer stepped onto the stage. It was a man with brilliant golden hair and eyes that radiated powerful authority. The man was revered by the candidates like a god. They couldn't stop murmuring in awe about this hero's legendary achievements in recent large-scale monster hunts. Large-scale monster hunts. The live appearance of a core member made the atmosphere even more tense. Everyone could feel the immense pressure emanating from this S-rank color mixer. S-rank color mixer. Standing before thousands of candidates holding their breath, the golden-haired man began to speak. Welcome, everyone. First, I want to thank all of you who have applied to the Dawn Vanguard. He scanned the crowd and emphasized that whether one's goal was money, power, or fame, none of it mattered. His eyes were sharp as he asserted. In the end, only skill will help you achieve anything. And we only need the best. The ultimate goal of the Vanguard is to find the strongest warriors to advance into the Black Lands and reclaim territory for humanity. To him, the mediocre had absolutely no place here. He began to explain the rules of the competition. The first test officially begins now. It will be a direct elimination tournament to test the combat abilities and survival skills of an explorer. Because in the world outside the city, the weak will certainly meet their death. The golden-haired color mixer declared loudly, "Prove your abilities here. We will select those who pass the first round based on the tournament results. When your number is called, step into the arena immediately." Number 126 was announced. Gil confidently strode onto the stage with an arrogant look. When number 286 was called, the crowd began to buzz. Wow, a heavyweight right from the start. Poor guy. Gil flashed a sinister smile, thinking to himself, how lucky. Finally, something interesting. I was getting bored to death earlier. He smugly wondered, now how should I play with this one? However, upon getting a closer look at opponent number 286, who was completely covered up, Gil suddenly froze. What's with this guy? He sized up the stranger's stance. When an awkward, weak-looking seeing his opponent still, standing motionless like a statue, Gil clicked his tongue. Whatever, it doesn't matter. He slowly drew his sword from its sheath and growled, I've been quiet for long enough. Confident he could easily defeat his opponent. He showed open disdain, shouting that the stage was set and he didn't need to hold back anymore. A brilliant green energy erupted from his sword, shocking the audience. Whoa, what is that? The wind sword. Everyone couldn't help but marvel at his talent at such a young age. How could he already be so skilled with a sword? Truly worthy of the name genius. With eyes blazing with killing intent, he roared a challenge. Are you ready? Try and block this. If you fail, I'll tear you to shreds. Gao stomped his foot, shattering the stage floor, then shot forward like a whirlwind. He swung his sword in a divine arc, creating sharp, brilliant green streaks of light, aimed straight at the young man who was standing motionless. Gao closed in on his opponent with terrifying speed, preparing to unleash a brutal finishing blow. Kai threw a powerful direct punch. It caught Gao completely off guard. A shocking explosion erupted, sending the wind's word genius flying back, to everyone's astonishment. The crowd fell silent as they saw Gao embedded in the arena wall. It created a deep crater in the arena. That's what you get for always acting so high and mighty and looking down on your opponent. He's getting what he deserves, right, everyone? Gao lay collapsed amidst the rubble. His entire body was bruised after just a single blow. He was indignant, unable to understand why this could have happened to a genius like him. Meanwhile, Kai was also stunned, looking at his own hand and thinking to himself, you even startled me. You just suddenly accelerated, causing chaos everywhere. Terrified whispers spread through the stands. Wait, are my eyes playing tricks on me, Black? They panicked as they realized the anomaly. But black is the color of monsters. Both Captain Red and Eli were stunned by this unprecedented sight. Eli couldn't believe her eyes. She wondered if a human could even possess that color. And could it be that the power of black was what took down Ageo in an instant? They were shocked, no longer sure if they were looking at a human or a monster. Kai stood alone in the middle of the arena, his feet still shrouded in pitch black smoke. Noticing the strange attitude and eerie silence from everyone, he started to feel confused. Why were they reacting like this? Kai worriedly asked himself if he had done something wrong to make everyone look at him with such wary and discriminating eyes. The competition continued. His opponents came up one after another. In the ring, Kai's opponent backed away in a panic and yelled, "Don't come near me." He swung his staff, summoning a giant boulder that shot straight forward, but Kai just kept silently advancing. The man screamed in desperation, "I told you not to come any closer." Why isn't it working? Despite the attack, Kai shot through the rock fragments and unleashed a powerful blow, sending his opponent flying with a pained cry. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. The winner is number 286, Kai. He continuously took down his next opponent, swiftly making the referee announce his name over and over to the astonishment of the audience. Watching from above, a blonde-haired color coordinator muttered thoughtfully to himself. This kid seems promising, doesn't he? He's the most outstanding one in this batch of candidates. After observing for a while, Kai had caught his eye. He determined that Kai was the first person to possess the strange black color and affirmed, the rumors will spread fast. This is our chance to recruit him first. Then team leader Red appeared. The people around him hurriedly bowed. When asked why he was there, Red calmly replied, just passing by, mentioning the previous monster investigation mission. Red sighed and admitted, that there's been no progress at all. It's a huge headache. Finding that mysterious monster is harder than climbing to the heavens. We're at a dead end. Seeing this, the examiner enthusiastically introduced the new talents. You can expect good results this time. He emphasized that besides the young lady of the Shah House, there was another extremely special contestant. The moment he looked down at the arena, Red was stunned and exclaimed, Black. The examiner smugly continued, I knew you'd notice. He even defeated a top-tier candidate and is showing an overwhelming performance. He believed that with this level of skill, Kai will definitely be accepted. Witnessing the familiar scene, Eli asked the team leader doubtfully, Team leader, could that kid be? Red confirmed thoughtfully, probably, a new color appearing right after that strange incident. And it's far too much of a coincidence. Red thought to himself, for now, let's just keep watching him. They already held a certain suspicion towards Kai. As for finding the cause, we'll have to wait for an opportunity. Down in the arena, Kai stared at his own hands, unable to hide his excitement from the consecutive victories. He realized this power was truly incredible, and he was confident that becoming a color coordinator was definitely possible. However, he had also failed before, learning his lesson. Kai silently reminded himself, but I need to be careful. If I overuse this power like last time and suddenly lose my color, I'll be done for. Suddenly, a massive ice explosion erupted right beside him, startling Kai. Stepping out from the frigid smoke was the girl with registration number 17, Eli Shah. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. The winner is number 17, Eli. She stood calmly next to her opponent, who was completely frozen solid. Witnessing that scene, the crowd praised endlessly about the Shah family's color and the skills befitting a noble lady. Kai also couldn't help but wonder how other people could he really defeat an opponent as fearsome as her. As they passed each other, Eli suddenly stopped. She turned to look at Kay with a sharp, cold, probing gaze that left him flustered. I wonder what this is about. We haven't even crossed paths yet, so why is she looking at me like that? Eli's blue eyes bored into Kay, full of suspicion. Just then, the blonde-haired judge authoritatively announced the end of the first round, thanking the contestants for their efforts. He then informed them that because they were behind schedule, they would be moving straight to the next test with no time for a break. The eliminated contestants trudged out of the arena, leaving a tense atmosphere for those who remained. The other participants began to worry. Oh man, this is tough. Not even a second to breathe. I hope the next test is easier. Just as the judge was about to announce the next event, a voice suddenly cut in. Hold on a moment. Captain Red stepped forward with a cryptic smile and announced, I will be personally conducting the second test. The appearance of the top-ranked chroma wielder sent a wave of shock and terror through the contestants. Who is that? I don't get what they're trying to test by having a top-tier chroma wielder lead this. To the utter amazement of all the contestants, the chroma wielder Red stepped forward. He is one of the most powerful chroma wielders in the City of Light, famous for reclaiming the Darklands and holding the highest monster extermination record. It's said his destructive power is so terrifying that even his own teammates are reluctant to work with him. The crowd grew anxious. If he was in charge of the test, it's safe to say no one would be able to pass. This time we're really screwed. The blonde-haired judge asked nervously, Are you sure about this? The commander will chew you out if he finds out that you've changed the test on your own initiative. Red just smiled nonchalantly. It's fine. It's fine. I get chewed out every day anyway. So, just because you're used to getting yelled at, you think everyone else should be too. He turned to the contestants and declared, The test is simple. Red's voice dropped to a low growl. All you have to do is endure. Instantly, an earth-shattering torrent of firepower erupted from his body. A blast of hot air swept over the horrified contestants as Red began to envelop each one in a sphere of fire. As the spheres blazed, he explained to the bewildered crowd, I'm recreating the environment of a place I've been before. It gets pretty hot. He stressed that the Darklands are filled with harsh environments where humans can barely survive. To Red, however, this test was nothing more than a cozy heater. He looked at the crowd coldly. Simple, isn't it? All you have to do is endure the heat to pass. But if you can't even handle this, then you never had what it takes to be an explorer in the first place. Just moments into enduring the Chroma wielder's cozy heater. The immense heat had contestants screaming. So hot. And he calls this a cozy heater. Just what kind of hell are the Darklands anyway? A desperate contestant realized his own abilities couldn't withstand it. It's no use. My own abilities can't block this. All I can do now is to try to hold out. Watching from a distance, the blonde-haired judge made a silent assessment. I heard he's been slacking on his training lately, but his skills haven't declined one bit. Those rumors were clearly an exaggeration. He was astonished by Red's level of control. To be able to envelop so many people with a barrier in the blink of an eye. That's the level you'd expect from someone who's reached the pinnacle. Guess all that praise isn't just hot air. Suddenly, a sharp cracking sound echoed through the sea of crimson flames. A sphere of brilliant blue ice had appeared, radiating a chilling aura. The surrounding contestants could only gasp in astonishment. What is that? In the middle of the fiery arena, Eli Cyan had effortlessly shattered the heat barrier with her own ice power. Witnessing this, Captain Red couldn't hide his surprise. Oh, now this is impressive. He recognized it of the power of the Sand family, which should be his natural counter. Yet she had shattered his barrier instantly. Red silently appraised the girl. It's no exaggeration to call her a true genius. However, he suddenly remembered someone else and wondered, but what about that other kid? Glancing over at Kay, Red saw he was still struggling inside the sphere of fire. He was somehow managing to hold on, so he can't break it. Hutch, I wasn't expecting much anyway. Red seemed disappointed in Kay. I thought he had potential, but he's just like all the others. In reality, Kay was on the verge of total panic. I'm finished. What am I going to do? Kay realized his mistake. I used up too much of my color in the previous match. If I had known this was coming, I would have conserved my strength. The situation grew more desperate as Kay felt his power draining away. Damn it. The harder I tried to hold on, the faster my color depletes. No, this can't be happening. My color, it's all draining away. He was terrified that if he revealed his colorless state, everyone would look at him differently. He might even be turned into a lab rat. Kay knew he had to do something. I can't just sit here and do nothing. There has to be a way. Isn't there something I can absorb like last time? His gaze suddenly fell upon the energy barrier surrounding him. Something to absorb. Desperation sparked an idea. A daring idea flashed through his mind. Come to think of it, this barrier is made of color energy, too. Doesn't that mean I can absorb it? Even though he still didn't fully understand the limits of this ability? But faced with the scorching heat, Kay decided to take the gamble. There's no time to think about it. I just have to try. He reached out and touched the blazing stream of fire directly. An absorption process began immediately as the frantic crimson energy swirled violently into Kay's hand. The surrounding candidates cried out in horror. The scene became chaotic with streaks of red and black light intertwining as Kay stood at the epicenter of the energy explosion. It left everyone stunned. What is this? What the hell is going on? Both Captain Red and the blonde-haired examiner were frozen by the unprecedented sight. After a moment of silent observation, Red broke into an excited smile. Looks like this time we've got a real madman on our hands. Red hadn't expected Kay to give him such a surprise. Kay stood tall in the middle of the arena, his hands ablaze with powerful black and red energy. The entire stadium fell into a breathtaking silence. All eyes were fixed on the young man with candidate number 286. Kay started to feel flustered by the crowd's reaction, breaking into a cold sweat and thinking to himself, this isn't going as planned. Looking around at the stunned faces, he worried internally. Damn it, I've drawn way too much attention. For Eli, this exam was incredibly important. Amidst the crowd's astonished whispers about the unprecedented appearance of the color black, she silently made a resolution. I must prove the strength I've trained so hard for the sake of my family's looking at Kay. Everyone couldn't help but wonder in shock if that was truly a color a human could possess. Though it was just a faint feeling, Eli couldn't suppress the rising unease. Since childhood, she had been taught to always be the best and to never be outdone by anyone. Encountering a formidable opponent like Kay today, she couldn't help but feel the pressure of her family's burden. Eli told herself she couldn't let her older sister down, but she also had to admit that Kay was truly strong. Witnessing his powerful attacks, Eli realized that even if she fought seriously, she wasn't guaranteed to win. She could sense a strange power coming from Kay, something that couldn't be explained by normal logic. Seeing Kay's back shrouded in black smoke, Eli wondered, what on earth is he? But she quickly shook the thought away and encouraged herself. When I fight him later, the result will be different. Just then, Captain Red walked up and casually threw an arm around Kay's shoulder. Red praised him generously. Whoa, was that the power of the color black? That was some incredible power. It devoured everything. He pulled Kay along, filled with curious excitement. I can't contain my curiosity anymore. Tell me more about that black color. We can talk privately to maintain your... When Kay anxiously asked about the exam results, Red casually assured him, oh, don't worry about it. At your level, you've already passed. I'll take care of it. Kay was stunned. He never expected to become an adventurer so quickly. Suddenly, the blonde-haired examiner yelled from behind. Hey, what do you think you're doing, Red? You idiot. You're just doing whatever you want again. The exam is still in progress. Red just laughed it off, apologized, and continued to lead Kay away, leaving the examiner speechless with indignation. To continue the test, he had to reluctantly pull himself together as an instructor. The examiner cleared his throat and announced to all the candidates, attention, everyone. Due to an unexpected situation, the exam was temporarily interrupted, but it will now resume, he declared. With the exception of candidate number 17, who broke their own barrier, all remaining candidates will have to take a supplementary test. Eli stood silently, her sharp, cold eyes following Kay's back as he disappeared behind a dark cellar door. The heavy door slammed shut, separating him from the bustling arena. Red told Kay to wait by the vehicle and left to take care of some business. Looking at the surrounding ruins, Kay realized with a shock that this was the place where he was once thrown into a vat of waste ink. Red returned pensively mentioning the horrific incident that had flattened this entire area not long ago. He was deliberately probing Kay to see his reaction to being here. According to witness accounts, a giant creature with pitch-black hands suddenly appeared and destroyed everything. Red looked Kay straight in the eye and pointed out the suspicious coincidence that you were the first person to possess the color black right after that incident. He assessed that Kay's ability to devour other colors was a power completely alien to this world. Kay broke out in a cold sweat. He realized this captain had seen through everything from the very beginning. The thought of running flashed through Kay's mind, but he quickly understood he could never escape from the grasp of a man celebrated by the entire city as a hero. Seeing how tense Kay was, Red probably had some idea of what he was thinking. Red admitted that while his main mission was to investigate the scene, he was more interested in Kay's ability. He explained that normal colors have their own rules and cannot be mixed, but Kay's power ignored all those complex laws. Based on what happened in the second test, Red stated with certainty, you still can't control your absorption of everything around you. Faced with the senior's sharp observations, Kay could only remain silent, unable to utter a word. He hit the nail right on the head. How could I possibly argue? To learn more about the limits and workings of this power, Red decided to conduct a practical experiment. He held his hand out in front of Kay and ordered him, try to absorb my color. Kay, horrified, refused. He was afraid that his pitch-black energy would be dangerous to him. However, Red just scoffed at the rookie's concern, stating he was too green to worry about someone like him. Red's voice grew serious as he warned that the color black was the symbol of the Blacklands, an evil force that devours all things. He also didn't forget to remind him that letting such a dangerous and uncontrollable power exist was unacceptable because it could shake the very foundations of the City of Light. He revealed a terrifying secret. Even though most people don't know it, humanoid creatures still exist out there. Red's eyes glowed ominously as he stared at Kay. If you confront them, Kay, in the worst-case scenario, we might have to dispose of you right here. A chill ran down Kay's spine, but he replied with determination, got it. All right then, let's do it. He reached out and gripped Red's arm tightly, not forgetting to add, but if something happens, it's not my fault. Because in reality, he still couldn't master and control that power at will. The moment their two energies touched, a terrifying shock wave erupted, enveloping them both in a dense fog of power. Red's fire energy began to surge into Kay's body. It made him scream in agony. The bone-deep pain sent Kay into a full-blown panic. It's too hot. Stop. Stop it. Damn it. I'm losing control. He felt like lava was boiling in his veins, incinerating every cell from the inside. The overwhelming power from the captain completely subdued Kay. He was stunned to realize the sheer scale of this overwhelming power. So this is the color of Red, the man they call a hero, a heat like lava that melts anything it touches. How terrifying. Standing in the heart of the sea of fire, Red remained calm, observing and assessing inwardly. It's pulling at me relentlessly as if it's starving. He noted that although this ability was frightening because Kay was still inexperienced, truly powerful people could still resist it. However, Red also had to admit that it was still extremely dangerous to most people, and what he had shown during the exam was definitely not his full strength. He stared intently at the hands, absorbing his energy, and thought to himself, I'd also like to know how color can be absorbed like this. A torrent of black flame erupted violently, consuming everything around it in a bizarre explosion of dark energy. The pillar of pure black fire exploded with such ferocity that it startled Captain Red out of control. The vortex that was K had transformed into a truly terrifying figure shrouded in darkness. He thought to himself, that form, if I didn't know better, I'd think it was a demon. Red immediately confirmed his suspicions. So, you're the culprit behind the incident. He knew he needed to find out a lot more from this young man. But first, he had to subdue the madness unfolding before him. Red focused his incineration energy into his hand, preparing to act to stop K from losing control any further. Meanwhile, K was struggling with the growls and a barrage of dark invitations echoing in his mind. Those voices constantly urged him. That intense color, give us more. We need it. Such overflowing power. No need to hold back. K clutched his head in pain. These voices, why do they keep appearing in my head? Even though he tried to resist and ordered them to be quiet, their greed wouldn't cease. They kept urging K. Keep absorbing it. You want it too, don't you? All of this color is in the midst of his frenzy. K's eyes flew open as he screamed, shut up and submit. A powerful shockwave blasted out, pushing back all the dark energy around them. When the smoke and dust K had collapsed to the ground, panting from exhaustion, Red stood silently, watching inwardly, astonished that K had managed to suppress that terrifying power on his own. K, stunned, thought to himself, that was insane. I thought I was a goner for sure. Why did I suddenly lose control like that? He looked worriedly toward Red, afraid of having revealed the true nature of his power right in front of a top-tier color mixer. K realized he needed to seriously find out the secret about himself. He hesitated, then spoke, breaking the silence. I was caught off guard because the power surge was stronger than I expected, but that means it was a success, right? Red gave a mysterious smile. Truly fascinating. If you want to gain something, you have to accept the risks. Good. That's enough for the test. Red acknowledged his power, but didn't forget his own mission. He got straight to the point. By the way, you must have realized that I'm the one assigned to handle the incident that occurred here. And since I've accepted the mission, I have to find the culprit. Captain Red looked directly at K and declared, right in front of me is a prime suspect. K broke out in a cold sweat. Speechless before these seniors' overwhelming presence, K listened as Red explained that many more people were interested in this destruction than he thought. He emphasized that because K stood out so much. Once rumors of your ability and your strange black color spread, people will easily point to you as the source of the disaster. Furthermore, Red brought up the damage estimate. It's estimated to be in the hundreds of millions, something a poor kid like you could never hope to pay back. He warned, if the city's leaders deem your ability a threat, and they could either exile you or worse, turn you into a guinea pig for their experiments. Panic K realized he was cornered. Damn it, there's no way out, he thought resentfully. I was just a victim of those assassins, but now how am I supposed to clear my name? Just then, Red offered him an escape. If you come with me, perhaps I can sort something out for you. Not knowing what else to do. Hearing Red's offer was like being thrown a life preserver just as he was about to drown. K bowed deeply. I'll follow you. Red smiled, but quickly corrected him. Listen up. I never said I'd solve everything for free. He demanded that Kai carry out a few missions for him in exchange for his protection. Faced with the prospect of crushing debt or being taken away for experimentation, Kai was ready to risk it all. Rather than being buried in debt or becoming a lab rat if it meant paying with his body, he was willing to do anything. He forced a strained smile and pledged, yes, of course. I'll do anything you need. Red smirked mysteriously at his eagerness. Oh, anything. Kai was like a lost, bewildered lamb looking out the window. The exploration vessel was crossing through a desolate wasteland. Kai thought to himself emotionally, I've never been this far from home before. The engine roared as the massive ship glided over the barren land. This is my first step as a pioneer. Suddenly, Gale's voice shattered his thoughts. Hey, you the black-haired kid. His annoyance was painfully obvious. You're really getting on my nerves. Stop that stupid staring and sit down. All right. Kai silently observed his new teammates sitting across from him. He realized that the job of a pioneer was exactly what he had hoped for. But having to be on a team with these people, he still couldn't believe his eyes. Is this really happening? This used to be just a dream, but now he was actually doing what he wanted. The only problem was his teammates weren't as friendly as he'd imagined. It all started with the offer from Captain Red. Not long before, he had chosen an unexplored region and declared, I'm going to need your help. Seeing Kai's worried expression, Red laughed reassuringly. Don't make that face. You're not going alone, so don't worry too much. He explained that all the new recruits would be participating, and Kai was just one of them. Red announced that the company would soon publicize the plan for this expedition. Specific details would be announced later. Just don't be late before turning to leave. His tone turned serious, and remember to show up at the designated location. Got it. Red was strangely enthusiastic about him going. Was he trying to support him, or was this all part of some scheme? Back in the present, when Kai boarded the ship, Eli and Gale were already there waiting. He silently understood that Red's earlier intervention had messed up the initial testing process. So, to be fair, all the other candidates have been given another chance. That's how the others managed to pass the supplementary test to be here on this trip, especially Eli, who had the highest score. She had personally requested to join Red's team to prove her true strength. Standing opposite, Kai radiated hostility and gnashed his teeth in fury. I can't believe I was humiliated because of that brat. Gale still couldn't swallow his bitter defeat. He gritted his teeth, telling himself, I was just careless for a second. You shouldn't underestimate others like that, my friend. There's always a bigger fish in the sea. He glared menacingly at Kai. Don't expect to get so lucky next time. When this expedition is over, you just wait. You'd better be ready for what's coming then. Gale smugly claimed that if Lavin hadn't been right behind him, he would have crushed Kai on the spot. But Eli coldly poured cold water on his pride. Forget it. You just lose to him again anyway. You're just wasting your breath. Kai is way out of your league. Gale could only exclaim in astonishment. What? Kai, confused, wondered if Eli was on the same side as Gale, but she suddenly declared, and I'm the one who will fight Kai first. To Kai's amazement, Eli asserted that the two of them had already reached an agreement with just a look. She then turned to Gale with a sharp glare. Since you already lost, just shut up and wait your turn. Caught between two bloodthirsty rivals, Kai could only sweat bullets, worrying, is it going to be okay? Why did I have to open my big mouth? Now I've pissed both of them off. The exploration vessel cut powerfully through the dark sea, leaving the city lights behind as it headed straight into the Blacklands, arriving at the pioneer outpost Aurora. Kai was overwhelmed by the hustle and bustle and the sheer scale of the place. He silently compared it to his previous solo journeys. The last time I came to the Blacklands, I always prepared everything by myself. I had no idea Serang companies operated on such a massive scale. Supplies, lost in thought, Kai was startled when a hand gently poked his cheek. What are you thinking about? Recognizing his close friend, Kai exclaimed joyfully, Marie, you're here. Marie replied with a bright smile. Of course I had to be here for your first mission, Kai. As she spoke, she opened her coat to reveal a small black cat curled up inside. Nero's here too, see. Kai took his little friend and sincerely thanked Marie for taking care of him all this time. Marie excitedly shared that this was a great opportunity for her to showcase her skills and gain more experience at a prestigious company like Aurora. Suddenly, an announcement blared from the loudspeakers throughout the base. It requested everyone to gather to prepare to enter the Blacklands as planned. Kai quickly handed Nero back to his friend. I have to go. Please take care of Nero for me. Marie held Nero tightly and gave him a reassuring smile. Don't you worry about a thing. Mary was worried. It was her friend's first mission and he had no experience, so she warned him not to do anything reckless. Kay smiled and waved goodbye. See you later. Mary hugged Nero and gently comforted him. Don't be sad, Nero. Suddenly, the black cat struggled out of her arms and darted off. Stunned, Mary yelled, Nero. She watched in shock as Nero dove right into Kay's shadow and vanished completely. Mary could only stammer in astonishment. Huh? What's happening, Kay? Wait. But she was too late to tell her friend that the cat had followed him. As Kay vanished into the crowd of adventurers, quietly thinking to himself, this won't be a big deal, right? Ahead of them was the border outpost, the barrier to the deadly Blacklands. An orange-haired female commander gave a sharp order. Get ready. We're about to enter the Blacklands. She stressed to the entire squad. Remember, safety is always the top priority. According to scout reports, unknown dangerous creatures have appeared in Area 21. They even found the corpse of an A-rank creature, a testament to the extreme harshness of this place. Commander Arancia ordered everyone to remain vigilant. Just then, a subordinate rushed over to report to her out of breath. Arancia saw the serious look on his face. She asked, what is it? The soldier stammered. Well, squad leader Red is leading the rookies somewhere else. They've broken formation without permission. Arancia's eyes widened. She was furious at her colleague's lack of discipline. He always acts on his own whims, constantly putting everyone on the back foot like this. Red's always been a bit of a maverick, hasn't he? The soldier remarked, reminding Arancia that she was currently the sole commander here. Arancia clutched her head in frustration. Jeech, not him again, the soldier pleaded urgently. Please, senior, you just have to bring the rookies back safely. Meanwhile, in a dark and treacherous ravine, Red was silently leading Kay, Eli, and Jill deeper inside. Noticing something was off, Jill spoke up, questioning his squad leader. It seems our team is going a different way. Does the rest of the team know we've deviated from the planned route? Kay asked worriedly. Squad leader Red, is this trip really safe? Red calmly explained that their destination was very special and that everyone in the group was a promising rookie. Kay wondered why Gale and Eli were with them when he thought this was a private mission. Gale immediately snapped. You think I'd let a guy like you get ahead of me? Eli added coldly that she had no intention of letting Kay reap all the benefits of Red's training. Faced with the rookie's tension, Red just smiled reassuringly. He said he would guarantee everyone's safety and told them to start cooperating like a real team. Heeding their senior's words, the rookies fell silent and stopped arguing, focusing on the goal ahead. The group started to venture deeper into the dark black lands where monsters constantly launched attacks from all sides. Eli swung her ice sword, felling enemies with sharp, swift slashes. In an instant, she realized just how harsh this place was. The air was incredibly suffocating, and the monsters appeared nonstop. This was completely different from a regular training session. Eli checked her energy measuring device. She reminded herself to manage it carefully so she wouldn't get depleted too soon. She quietly resolved not to let Kay leave her behind as she watched him stand beside a monster's corpse. Eli suddenly asked, why aren't you using any items? You didn't use any during the entrance exam either. Kay awkwardly admitted that because they were too expensive, he'd never owned or used one before. Instead, he believed he could overcome anything with his own strength. He was determined to rise up from nothing because he was simply too poor. Gale, standing nearby, overheard this and was completely shocked by the fact that Kay had never used an item in this world. Items were essential weapons for knights to channel their color and kill monsters. Stunned, Gale recalled Kay's powerful punch from before, and he realized that he had been defeated miserably by someone who fought with his bare hands and without a single weapon for support. He gritted his teeth in fury, silently, vowing to one day crush Kay with his own two hands to avenge his defeat. Witnessing the tense atmosphere among the rookies, squad leader Red looked incredibly amused, thinking that only geniuses could create this kind of drama. Kids who are jealous and competitive will never stop striving to improve themselves. He urged the group to hurry up as their objective was just ahead. Red announced enthusiastically, let's pick up the pace. Time to enjoy today's party. The team trudged between the steep cliffs of the Blacklands toward their mysterious destination. After defeating the monsters, squad leader Red called out, all right, that's enough. Let's take a break. Eli reminded everyone not to let their guard down. The journey's just begun. The group decided to rest for 10 minutes before moving on. Exhausted, Gale took out a vial of green liquid and mumbled, I can't believe I've used up so much color. Kay watched curiously as Gale downed the entire vial of his personal ink. It was a special refined ink used to restore color and energy, an essential but incredibly expensive item for veteran adventurers. Each type of ink is custom made to match an individual's color, making them astronomically expensive. Watching Eli and Gale casually drink the lavish solution, spending money like it is water, Kai couldn't help but feel jealous. Damn, the rich really have it good. However, he told himself he didn't need it and quietly approached the corpse. Busel of a monster and held out his hand. To his teammates' astonishment, a massive torrent of dark energy erupted from the corpse and was completely absorbed by Kai. After finishing, Kai clenched his fist, feeling refreshed. All right, I've fully recovered. Eli walked over concerned and asked, Kai, are you really okay? Kai nonchalantly replied, I've done this plenty of times, so it's fine. Jill, standing nearby, couldn't help but shudder in horror at his ability to devour monsters. Holy crap, this guy's insane. He's just absorbing it like it's nothing. What is it? Kai's way of replenishing mana is unconventional. So, anyone seeing it for the first time is bound to be surprised like that. Just then, Captain Red announced that their break was over and urged the group to get moving. After a while, they traveled through some cliffs until he stopped and declared, We've arrived. Before them was a giant black barrier radiating immense pressure from between the ravines. Kai, stunned, exclaimed, A black barrier? What is this? Captain Red stared intently at the pitch-black sphere and explained that this was the very reason he'd brought them here. He began to gather blazing fire energy in his palm and commanded coldly, See for yourselves. Captain Red launched a powerful fire attack straight at the black sphere, but instead of shattering the barrier, furiously devoured the energy and grew even stronger. He turned to explain to the group, Get it now. If you try to break it with brute force, it'll just absorb that power and get stronger. Looking over at Kai, Red smirked. It's pretty similar to your skill, isn't it? That's why I had a hunch your power could break through that barrier. Talk about a coincidence, folks. He revealed that inside the barrier lay a path to an ancient ruin where they had to find the main objective of this mission, a star fragment. Keel and Eli were all baffled by the unfamiliar name. Huh, what's that? I've never heard of it before. Red just gave a mysterious reply. It's what the City of Light is desperately searching for. I'll explain later. For now, just take down that barrier. Kai nodded in agreement. All right. He then suddenly approached the thick black fog. He slowly reached out and touched the surface of the barrier. Instantly, the dark energy was sucked back into Kai's body. It created a fierce vortex of energy. Witnessing the sight, Red exclaimed in delight, "Whoa, it's working. The barrier is disappearing." The giant sphere quickly dissipated under Kai's absorption power. Red didn't hold back his praise. Kai, your power really is useful. However, unlike the other times he'd absorbed energy, Kai's face now showed clear signs of fatigue and strain from taking in so much power from the barrier. Was it because of too much energy? Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet began to shake, violently, startling Jill and Eli. Huh? What was that? What was that tremor? That was way too loud. They feared the noise would attract dangerous creatures. If we keep making this much noise, the monsters will. Before he could finish, gut-wrenching roars echoed through the ravine. From the darkness, swarms of pitch-black monsters with glowing eyes and sharp teeth began to emerge, surrounding the group from all sides. They barely had time to react to the sudden ambush, but Captain Red just broke into a smug grin as the monsters swarmed in. Looks like the whole pack decided to show up. He ordered the group, "We'll handle the monsters while Kai deals with the barrier. Wipe them out." Instantly, Jill shot forward like a whirlwind, his sword tearing through the dark phantoms. On the other side, Eli was just as formidable, creating sharp ice pillars that pierced through rows of enemies. Watching the rookies fight so eagerly, Red stood calmly in the center of the fray, thinking to himself, I was planning to help out if they needed it, but it looks like that won't be necessary. Blazing fireballs swirled around him, protecting him from the monster's lunges. Red noted with satisfaction. I thought I'd have to clean up after these rookies, but who knew they'd do so well on their own? They really know how to take care of themselves. This is almost too easy, leading a team full of outstanding rookies. This instructor really hit the jackpot. Meanwhile, Kai was still focusing all his energy on the intensely swirling dark energy from the barrier. He started to feel that something was off. He thought worriedly, something feels wrong. Why do I sense a similar power coming from this barrier? Is it because it's also black? He realized that if he lost focus for even a second, this energy would devour his own color instantly. But Kai quickly regained his composure when he realized something. But this power is weaker than mine. So it was a battle of absorption. Whichever side was stronger would win. He decisively focused his power, absorbing the entire stream of dark energy into his palm. After a struggle, Kai let out a sigh of relief. Phew, finally absorbed it all. Appearing before Kai was a bottomless, pitch-black pit. He was stunned. Wait, this is the entrance to the ruins. I can't even see the bottom. He hurriedly turned back to report. Captain, I've taken care of the barrier. Red smiled in approval. Oh, excellent. You did a great job, Kai. My intuition was right. He waved to the others who were busy fighting. The barrier's gone. Finish up your fights and assemble here. Seeing that Eli and Gale hadn't stopped, Red yelled. I said, don't kill them all. Stop. Those rookies are still busy hacking and slashing away over there. Red's expression suddenly changed his eyes, flaring with a threatening red light. A terrifying pressure erupted from him, throwing both Gale and Eli far away, causing them to collapse on the ground in shock. Gale, trembling, stammered, what was that? Below their feet, the ground fractured into a complex web of cracks like some bizarre sigil. Captain Red gritted his teeth. No way. Of course, things wouldn't go this smoothly, he said in a low, weary voice. We received reports about a dangerous monster in this area, and it looks like it has finally shown up. In the distance, standing amidst a mountain of monster corpses, was a lone figure holding a pitch-black greatsword. Looks like my break time is over. The stranger appeared as a dark warrior, his face hidden behind a grotesque mask with one eye glowing a brilliant white. Red immediately turned and ordered the rookies. Everyone, listen up. Kay cried out in alarm. Captain, Red was resolute. You kids, run to the ruins now. Work together and find the star fragment. You can do it, Kay asked in shock. Wait, you just want us to go? No more talk. Go. Red coldly shoved the three of them straight into a deep bottomless pit. Kay only had time to scream in astonishment. Ah, Captain Red, he yelled, free falling through the air. How are we supposed to do this on our own, without any guidance instructions, or a simulation of what the star fragment even looks like? It was no different than telling them to find a needle in a haystack. Above the pit, Red stood alone, his gaze fixed as he faced the approaching Dark Warrior. After the hard fall, Kay pushed himself up in pain. Ow, 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 that hurt. He looked around the dark space and wondered, is this inside the ruins? As soon as he turned on his light, Kay froze, his eyes widening in horror at the unbelievable sight before him. It was